Becoming isn't about arriving somewhere or achieving a certain aim. I see it instead as forward motion, a means of evolving, a way to reach continuously towards a better self. The journey doesn't end. These are the words of Michelle Obama, and how beautifully it fits into the life of an entrepreneur. An entrepreneur who works very hard to earn profits. Higher profits leads to higher market share, and higher market share can be achieved by growth, whereas growth can be achieved by expansion. Now, what could be the possible ways to expand business? Well, he can go for opening new branch. He can enter into a joint venture to complete a certain type of business. He can completely change his form of organization by entering into a partnership, infusing a lot of resources, or maybe go for subsidiary companies. But a very simple and straightforward way is to have consignment business. So to make you all familiar with the concept of consignment as an effective selling tool for the small business operations, I, Dr. Aarti Mudaliar, Assistant Professor in the Department of Commerce, the Bhopal School of Social Sciences, am here with this video. By the end of this video, you will be able to understand what is consignment accounting, why consignment accounting by evaluating its advantages and disadvantages, and the accounting treatment of consignment selling. So as regards first question, what is consignment? Well, consignment is a business arrangement in which a business, also referred to as consignee, agrees to pay a seller or consignor for merchandise after the item is sold to the third party, that is consumer. In return, the consumer pays the sales consideration to the consignee, and the consignee deducts the amount of commission and pays the remaining amount to the consignor. Once the payment has been received by the consignor then transfers the property of the goods to the consumer. Now, this discussion brings out some important terminology related to the consignment business. Number one, consignment. Well, the dictionary meaning, if you can see, is the batch of goods destined for or delivered to someone. Consignor. The consignor is a party who consigns, or the party that provides merchandise for consignment. Third is consignee, the person to whom a shipment is to be delivered, or one to whom anything is consigned or entrusted. So my dear children, this brings out the two main parties involved in a consignment business. One, the consignor, and another, the consignee. The next term being consumer. Well, the consumer is the market to whom the goods are to be sold ultimately. The next one being commission. Now, commission is the revenue for the consignee, and this is a charge on the sales amount which he sells on behalf of the consignor. Next is consignment stock. Well, these are the goods unsold by the consignee lying in his godown. The last term being loss. Losses related to consignment has to be borne by the consignor before the sale of the goods. Now mind it, before the sale of the goods, because owner of the goods is consignor and not the consumer. Therefore, any loss arising out of the consignment has to be borne by the owner, and that is consignor. Well, consignment businesses are typically retail stores that specialize in a particular type of consumer product. Common products sold through consignment stores include clothing, shoes, furniture, toys, musical instruments, athletic equipments and gear, baby furniture and accessories, antiques and collectibles, and so on and so forth. Now the next question, why consignment? Well, this question can be well answered by evaluating the advantages and disadvantages associated with consignment business. So, well, the advantages has to be seen from three dimensions. Firstly, from the point of view of the consignor, that is the owner of the product. The first one being exploring new markets. Well, a consignor conducts his business in a limited area of his own city or maybe a state. But when he wants to expand his business, he has to seek the potential customers in an entirely new market. The second one being it gets the product in front of consumers. No matter how good the product is, there are some items of inventory that need to be in front of the consumers in order to sell them. That is, the merchandise that the customer needs to touch or maybe taste or maybe test before buying it. So, consignment selling makes it much easier for the supplier to convince the retailer to keep it in his stock. The next point being, it requires no capital investment on the part of consignor, in the form of purchasing a new godown maybe, or maybe vehicles for the transportation of goods from one place to another. This can be easily done by hiring or renting these particular capital investments. And the last one maybe could be, no shipment or no delivery charges has to be borne by the consignor, because these goods are being taken up by the consumer directly from the consignee's place. Now let us evaluate the advantages from the point of view of consignee, that is the business owner. The first one being saves on inventory cost. This is definitely one for the retailers. The retailers or the consignee in the case doesn't have to cough up the cash until the item is sold to the end user. In other words, the consignee doesn't have to pay any amount to the consignor until the entire goods are sold. Another point of advantage could be unsold products can be returned to the consignor. This could be a real advantageous situation for the consignee, because he need not stock the unsold goods in his own godown. It can be returned anytime to the consignor back. The next point of advantage being, he can build a solid clientele who return regularly to check out on the new products. Now, since he is keeping economically the products of the consignor in his own godown, he has a wider range to present before his customers. And the last one being, the payment can be delayed by a day or a week, which ensures a better capital or a better working capital inflow in the business. Now, as I said, that it is a win-win situation for both the parties. So let us evaluate the advantages from the point of view of both consignor and the consignee. The first one being restock as it sells. A benefit for both parties is that consignment selling generally avoids lag times between selling stock and new orders arriving. It's in the best interest of the supplier and retailer to keep the stock restocked. So, inventory is usually replaced as soon as it sells. The lag in time between goods sold and the new goods arriving is potential business lost, which consignment selling avoids. The next point of advantage could be reduces risk of new products or sales channels. Selling on consignment allows suppliers and retailers to test the waters on the success of a new product or a new sales channel without running the risk of major financial loss. Retailers can introduce an unproven item or try an established product in a new sales channel before investing heavily in it. In the end, it's better for both retailer and the supplier to work out without pouring in more capital into it. And the next one being, it helps nurture a better supplier-retailer relationship. Introducing a new product or initially selling on consignment allows both retailer and supplier to judge what levels of inventory are turned over in particular time periods. This allows the retailer and the supplier to eventually establish a more traditional bulk order system in realistic order quantities that suit both consignee and consignor. Ordering the right amount, selling the right amount, and using consignment sales to change course every now and then establishes a stronger relationship between both parties. Well, disadvantages also comes as a package with the advantages. So let us have a look on the disadvantages associated with the consignment business. The disadvantage from the point of view of consignor could be receiving less than what has been earned by way of direct selling. Of course, there can be some additional expenses associated with the consignment business, which reduces the expected profit, which usually is earned by the direct sale. The second point being, the consignor may have to wait for some time possibly for the payments to be received from the consumer as against the direct selling. Now the disadvantage from the point of view of consignee is just one as far as I can see, and that is dependence on the sellers to provide a steady stream of inventory for the continuous sale. So now my dear children, I think you are assured of the win-win situation of this consignment business for both consignor and consignee. Now you being an accountancy student has to learn the accounting treatment of consignment selling as well. As I said earlier, there are two parties involved in this consignment business, and that is the consignor and the consignee. So the books of records has to be maintained by both the parties separately. In the books of consignor, he would prepare three types of accounts. Number one being consignment account, which is purely a nominal account with an objective to find out the profit or loss arising out of this consignment business. The second account being the goods sent on consignment account. This is purely to check or keep an eye on the goods which are sent on consignment. And thirdly, the consignee's account, that is the consignee to whom the goods have been sent and what amount is to be recovered from him, that is the sale proceeds and the amount payable to him as regards to expenses or the commission earned by him. Whereas in the books of consignee, just two accounts are to be prepared, and that is number one, the consignor's account. That is, the consignor stands as a creditor in the books of consignee. Now he has to find out that how much of amount is to be paid to the consignor out of the sale proceeds after deducting his expenses and his commission earned. Therefore, he prepares the consignor's account. And also the one very objective of the consignee is to earn commission. So that is why he also prepares a commission account, which further is to be transferred to his profit and loss account. Now let us understand the books of accounts to be prepared by the consignor, and each account one by one. The first one being consignment account. As I said, that consignment account is a nominal account. So all the cost or expenses must be debited to the consignment account. In the same way, all the revenues or incomes must be credited to the consignment account to find out the profit or loss arising out of this consignment. Now, before moving further, let us reflect upon our basic concepts of finding out profits. In your previous lectures, you all must have understood that how a business enterprise ascertain its profit or loss. So, from the point of view of consignor, that is a seller, he can make sale in two ways. Number one, he can sell the goods directly to his customers, that is direct sales, or he can sell the goods indirectly through the consignee. Now, in both ways, whether he makes a sale directly or indirectly, the main motive is to find out profit or loss. And to ascertain this profit and loss, he has to prepare a certain account. If he is going for direct sale, he will prepare a trading account. But if he is going through consignment business and he wants to find out the profit or loss arising out of this consignment, he has to prepare consignment account. But the beautiful part is the profit derived from the trading account or the consignment account ultimately passes on to the general profit and loss account to find out the ultimate profit or loss earned by the business. So now we will focus upon only the right hand side of the profit and loss ascertainment, and that is through the consignment business. Now, looking into the consignment account and talking about the debit side of the consignment, let me tell you there are only three items majorly which are to be recorded in the debit side of the consignment account. Number one being the cost of goods. Let me remind you, the debit side considers the cost of consignment. All right. So the very first thing which is to be debited in the debit side of the consignment account is the cost of goods. Now, cost of goods involves the opening stock with the consignee and also the goods sent to the consignee through consignment. The second thing which is to be debited in the consignment account is the consignor's expense. That is all the expenses which are incurred by the consignor directly but in relation to the consignment business. The third and most important thing are the expenses related to a consignee. Now, these expenses are incurred by the consignee on behalf of the consignor related to this consignment business. These expenses can be divided in two parts. One, commission charged by the consignee and the expenses incurred by the consignee. Now, the commission further can be divided in three types. There can be a simple commission, there can be del credit commission, and there can be overriding commission. All these explanation of commission will be given to you in the further part of this video. Now, the expenses also can be understood in two different ways. The expenses can be non-recurring in nature and the expenses can be recurring in nature. Now, you must be wondering what are these recurring and non-recurring expenses on the part of consignee? Yes, explanation of these also will be given in the further part. Let us understand the best part of the consignment account, and that is the credit side, that is the revenue of the consignment. Now, the revenue can be earned when the goods are sold by the consignee, of course. So, the first thing to be recorded in the credit side are the goods sold, but it is recorded as consignee's name because the goods have been sold by the consignee. The next thing is actually not the revenue, but a recognition, or you can say a non-recognition of the cost. Why? Because in the debit side we have recorded all the cost which is to be converted into revenue. But the cost which cannot be converted into revenue also has to be recorded in the credit side, and that can be recorded in two ways. Number one, the unsold stock. The unsold stock is the closing stock left in the godown of the consignee related to this particular consignment. And the very most important thing is the consignment loss. This loss can be during the transit or can be in the godown of the consignee. These losses also could be in the nature of insured losses or uninsured losses, and how the accounting treatment or the calculation of these losses are to be done, we will see in the next video. Now have a look on the complete consignment account. In the debit side, you can easily see the three items which are debited in the form of consignment stock, which is opening stock, goods sent to consignment which in the current year have been sent by the consignor to the consignee. The expenses incurred by the consignor are recorded as to cash because it reduces cash of the consignor, and the expenses incurred by consignee are recorded by his name as to consignee. Of course, you can record it in the inner column, the bifurcation between the expenses and the commission. The commission, as agreement says, has to be recorded as per the del credit commission, overriding commission, or maybe the simple commission given to us. Whereas in the credit side, we record the sale as by consignee because consignee right now stands as a debtor for the consignor. Therefore, his account is debited and consignment account is credited. The losses which are incurred during the consignment are to be recorded in the credit side as abnormal losses because normal losses gets absorbed during the course of consignment business itself. And any unsold stock, if are there, must be recorded in the credit side of the consignment stock as by consignment stock. Now, the difference between the credit side and the debit side would finally give you the profit or loss arising out of this consignment business. If the balancing figure falls in the debit side, it is the profit earned must be transferred to the profit and loss account, and if the balancing figure falls in the credit side, it is the loss incurred out of this consignment business also must be transferred to the profit and loss account. So I hope so far the concepts of consignment accounting is clear to all of you. For the further clarification or the calculation details, we will be looking forward for part 2.